Welcome to the ClearPath OS 2200 Release 18.0 Technical Update. It's still about time. My name is Ellen Sorensen. I'm Lead Systems Engineer for IRU, the Integrated Recovery Utility, and I've been working on the 2028 TDATE remediation team for the last several releases. If you're new to this topic, I suggest you look at the set of Release 17.0 Technical Update presentations related to time. It's About Time, Parts 1 through 3. The intent of this presentation is to provide an update on the current state of the 2028 TDATE remediation plan with an overview of the changes this release and to point you to other presentations with more specific details. Let's start with the changes to the Exec configuration parameters controlling time use. In this release, most of these parameters are changing. The MFD, accounting, and free space time configuration parameters are now Phase 3. Last release, you had the option to set these parameters to generate new format timestamps, but the default value was false. Continue using TDATE $-based timestamps. In this release, you must supply a value. There is no default. All Unisys software has been updated to handle both old and new format timestamps in structures related to these parameters. If you haven't already tried setting these parameters to true, generating new timestamps in the new format, we recommend you make plans to do so, unless you have your own software that hasn't been adapted to the new format. When these parameters advance to the next phase in a subsequent release, you cannot change the value. They will be permanently set to true, generating all new timestamps in the new formats. The initial R2, Program File, and Media Manager time configuration parameters are now Phase 2. This is the first release where you have the option to set these parameters to true and generate new format timestamps in related structures. The default value is false. Continue generating TDATE $-based timestamps. All Unisys software has been updated to handle both old and new format timestamps in structures related to these configuration parameters. We expect many of you will encounter some of the timestamps related to these parameters in your own software, applications, utilities, tools, run streams, and such. The visibility and scope of these structures is a little larger than those related to the parameters on the previous slide. I've highlighted program files because that parameter seems to generate extra implications, especially in the area of data transfer. Due to this larger scope and many interdependencies, we strongly recommend that you complete migration to the new Release 18.0 product levels and are satisfied with those product levels before changing any of these time-related configuration parameters to true. New format timestamps can create issues for products from previous levels. I'll say more about some of the consequences of generating new timestamp formats controlled by these parameters a little later. You still have a little time before these parameters are permanently true. When these parameters advance to their next phase in a subsequent release, you must supply a value. There will be no default. The Media Manager configuration parameter is actually new this release. For those of you using a tape management system, for example, Star 1100, look to those products for details on using this parameter. The last time-related exec configuration parameter, TDATE $disabled, disables the TDATE $ER, returning an invalid ER contingency. This parameter is still Phase 1. TDATE is enabled, and you cannot yet change the parameter. However, you can write code that tests the value of this parameter. In a subsequent release, this parameter will advance to Phase 2 with a default of false, allowing TDATE statements and the ability to disable the ER by setting the parameter to true. In some cases, the only change in a product is adding support of the new timestamp formats or upgrading time manipulation processing to use new library routines. These products are feature releases, but the only change are 2028 TDATE adapts. This set of products also have only 2028 TDATE dollar adaptations in Release 18.0. However, the changes here are somewhat more substantial and include changes to features you might currently use or features you might want to use when you adapt your applications and utilities for TDATE dollar remediation. Separate technical update presentations cover these products. We encourage you to watch those presentations for details on these updates. The remaining products with 2028 TDATE dollar adaptations this release have significant features in addition to the timestamp adaptations. These products also have technical update presentations available for your review. The next question is, are you ready? Once you've fully migrated to Release 18.0, all Unisys products will accommodate all settings of almost all the time-related configuration parameters. We still have a few updates left for the TDATE dollar parameter. The Release 18.0 Planning and Migration Overview, the PMO, contains a table showing when each product adapted to each time configuration parameter by release and product level. Time considerations for ClearPath OS 2200 systems, or as we affectionately call it, the Time Book, also has information on structures, interfaces, and products' use of time. If you haven't already done so, now is the time to start checking your applications and utilities to be sure they are also ready to handle timestamps in 2028 and beyond. If you need help with this, Unisys can provide services to assist you. Specific migration and build considerations for individual products are covered in the technical update presentations and in the PMO. In addition to these normal migration considerations for specific products, this release has some general build and migration considerations for sites that want to build Release 18.0 products on a system running Release 16.0 or 17.0. Some products and library subroutines are using the time by index dollar function introduced in Release 17.0 to manage time-related processing. Build and execution of these products require a system where Exec and sysdollar rlib support time by index dollar. Map variables $ATE and $IME are being phased out as part of TDATE dollar remediation. Beginning with Release 18.0, Map and Link support $ODSW time, a new timestamp variable that provides functionality similar to $ATE and $IME. Some products have started replacing their use of the older variables with the new $ODSW time variables. These products require the Release 18.0 levels of Map or Link to ensure that the new variable is available during product builds. The ID $syslib function has changed in Release 18.0. See the syslib technical update presentation for more details. The function packet, proc calls, and subroutines have been updated. A new packet version is generated when compiling with new syslib. The new ID $subroutines will not execute when earlier syslib banks are installed. The calling sequences are different. And some products in Release 18.0 have adapted to the new syslib ID $routines and packets. They will no longer build or execute with the older syslib levels. Several products have taken advantage of the new syslib, slib, map, and link features in their time adapts. This means you must have the Release 18 level of those products installed in order to build the new levels of the other products. The Migration Considerations Technical Update presentation covers these migration items in more detail. All migration considerations are covered in detail in the PMO. We recommend that you review that document before starting your migration to Release 18.0. After you've migrated to Release 18.0 and are comfortable with the new product levels and reasonably sure that you will not fall back to older levels, you can think about changing the Exec time configuration parameter settings. You'll also need to determine if your applications and utility programs can handle new time formats. You may find that you are not entirely ready to make the switch to the new formats. If you change configuration parameters and later decide to restore them to false, you should remember that you will almost certainly have generated some new format timestamps. You'll have to decide what to do with those timestamps. If you've already tested the new release and your programs, this task should be easier, requiring only changing the configuration parameters and possibly converting the timestamps generated in the new format. We have several utilities to assist you in this task. Another issue to be aware of is something we're calling escapees. Escapees are new format timestamps that migrate to systems with software, either system or application, that is not ready to deal with them. An example of this phenomena is a file transfer from your test system to production. If the test system is generating modified SW time format times in the program file table and the production system is not yet on release 18.0, you can have problems. Unisys has established checks to ensure we do not release files with new format times before our clients are ready to deal with them. We recommend you also establish some form of checking to prevent new format times escaping to systems where they may not be recognized. Remember, the exec configuration parameters control generation of new times. Once a timestamp has been generated, Unisys products do not change the timestamp formats, even if you change the configuration parameters again. In some cases, you'll want to change the format of existing timestamps. This release contains several utilities to convert timestamps associated with the master file directories and the program file entry tables on your systems. MFD one file update and MFD time util convert timestamps in the standard or shared MFD. PF1 file update and PF time util convert timestamps in the program file element tables. MFD one file update and PF1 file update convert the timestamps in a single file to a selected format. MFD time util and PF time util convert the timestamps for all files in a MFD to the configured format. This can be useful for creating new format timestamps for testing before turning the configuration tags on for your system, for converting new timestamps to old formats for system export or restoring configuration tags to generating old format times, or for converting all timestamps to the new timestamp format to improve consistency and performance once you're satisfied the new formats are working at your site. For more information on these utilities, see the separate technical update presentation on time utilities. Most of this material is covered in more detail in the time book, the PMO, and product documentation. Time considerations for ClearPath OS 2200 systems, or the time book, is the go-to spot for information on time use for the 2200 systems, as well as the 2028 TDATE remediation. Software planning and migration overview for release 18.0, the PMO, describes product features, compatibility, and detailed migration information. We've added some sample programs in the time book, in syslib documentation, and on the IRU release tape to help your remediation efforts. These sample programs cover calling sequences, packet setup, and some conversion hints in a variety of languages. Technical update presentations in Release 17.0 provide overviews of time use on OS 2200 systems and the Unisys 2028 TDATE remediation plans. Release 18.0 technical update presentations on syslib, slib, SSG, and migration also address time-related topics. And of course, the Unisys services team is available to assist your remediation efforts. Looking ahead, we plan to complete all 2028 TDATE remediation in all Unisys products well in advance of the TDATE format expiration. All of the time-related parameters will advance to the next phase. The first set of parameters will reach phase 4, their value permanently set to true, generating only new timestamp formats, and you will soon have the opportunity to disable the TDATE ER. To help you get ready for complete 2028 TDATE remediation at your site, we will be providing additional reporting capabilities to help you discover remaining TDATE use.
Unisys offers a comprehensive set of ClearPath Forward services to enrich the value of your ClearPath Forward applications, data, and systems. Please contact your Unisys representative for more information.